That's how you know I'm a real operator.
That's true.
A real idiot. Hey, Andrew, I don't know if have we actually ever met?
Briefly at Arrival, I think, when we were in
Vegas.
Yeah, that one.
You
so Kai and I started this business, just, Kevin, back in 2011 together, but Kai's really gets all the credit. He ran it full time for the last 12 years. I just came back in full time this spring. So
does it ever bang up your ego when the people don't know you and then they refer to Kai as your boss and you're like, take it easy?
Definitely not.
I don't know that I've had that. No, I mean, I owe a lot to Kai. Kai's done a great job running this thing over the last 10 years while I went off and had another career. And so, I think there's room for a little misunderstanding.
Well, yeah, man, we've got he's mentioned you on the podcast and he's talked about you. I don't know. He's given like the full Andrew breakdown. So, I mean, we are live. And we are live on episode 176. Fucking
176.
Oh, you said a word. Sorry, I was too busy thinking about my next sentence. 173. And we are here with old faces, new faces. I mean, a whole bunch has been happening in the TourScale world. I believe this is the first time that we have the guy behind the guy, Andrew. I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Cole.
Andrew Cole. I knew that. Andrew Cole and Kai Kaapro, who's been on the show, I believe, a couple of times. Kai Kaapro. He's got a new cap. So
Kaapro.
And so now with this big news they're going to release on the show, he thinks he's better than me. Kaapro. Palace or Apollos?
I don't call you like Kevin Anil.
I would be fine with that. I'd be like, Kevin Anil it is, man. If you were giving me airtime, you could call me whatever you want.
I did botch your bio on our podcast. I completely botched the name of your business.
Destin Watersports, yeah. Kai Kaapro. I've always called you Kaapro.
That's fine. I'm actually fine with Kaapro. It's
Kai Kaapro because he looks like an undercover cop right now.
I have like a gold chain under the shirt, so I can whip it out. You're like, you guys know where I can find some drugs?
Yeah, but it's not about you, Kai. It's actually about Andrew. So just
sorry,
give up the air. Give it up to Andrew Cole. And as always, I'm joined by my Kimosabi over here. I'm the guy behind his guy. So Greg, how are you doing, man?
Yo, doing good. Yeah, ready for 2025. And hey, before we begin, I think we're gonna make the announcement on this episode. So the announcement that we're gonna have the port in 2025 in Destin, Florida.
Yes. Nice. That's great.
We're bringing it home. We're bringing it to the water sport capital of the country.
Way to do it, man.
Destin, Fort Walton Beach. Everyone's going to come see your operation, Kevin, so it has to look good.
Dude, it's smoke and mirrors. Everybody's going to be like, what? There's like a bum on one of my beach chairs smoking crack. I mean, it does happen. That is a thing. It's like, get that heroin addict out of here.
No, but we Kai has a couple franchisees down in Destin, so
that's right.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a really big moment for us because the first 4 years we had it in different locations, but we're bringing it home. Most of our listeners are from like Northwest Florida, so really excited about it. So we're going to be posting a lot of stuff on our Facebook page, Facebook group, email. We'll have an early bird ticket pricing coming soon. So yeah, just keep looking for the announcements, but you should see something probably by the time that we release.
And as you said that, I just had a great idea. We should do like an in session, like at a podcast, like where everybody's actually in the room, and what there'd be obviously paid sponsors, you gotta pay to be in the room with Greg and I know. No, we should do a live podcast and like maybe do it like happy hour, like just everybody get bombed, not me, but the rest of you guys just get lit and we'll just have like a fun kind of, like like one of those popular podcasts where everybody's like sitting on the couch and, you know, they zoom out and you can see everybody talking there. And it's like, you know, real pro. Anyway, enough about us. Andrew Cole, we've heard the TourScale from Kai's side, but I mean, let's hear it from you. You're the other half of this dynamic duo and this great company you guys got. So yeah, why don't you give us a little background on you and a little background as you see it from TourScale? Welcome.
Yeah, so I mean, going way back, Kai and I started originally with Trolley Pub in Tucson, Arizona, back in around late 2010, early 2011. Kai forewent a law internship and ended up running that thing full time after passing the bar and all of that. And I went on a separate path into consulting. I did that for about a decade. Had a marketing agency that we just sold last spring, and now I'm in the business full time. In the meantime, Kai built this whole business, and I was kind of in the background, you know, getting into the boats, manufacturing, and then eventually in 2020, we decided to franchise. And really, our plan in 2020 was for me to come in full time then. And then COVID hit. And so we had to kind of go to plan B and stay in our separate lanes for a little while we got a little bit bigger. But TourScale is, you know, we've got our own operations. We do manufacturing, at least now contract manufacturing. But what we're trying to build is really a platform for like this long tail of operators who we think are awesome at delivering their local experience. The people on the ground know their local communities. They know how to make an experience really great. But what maybe they could use some help in, and where we think we can provide value is in all the stuff they don't want to do, all the marketing, the back office support, the websites. Let them run a really great business up front, and we're kind of behind the scenes, helping them there.
Yeah, man. So I mean, you gave us super. I mean, so it's crazy. I know we have met for a second, but it's wild that you guys don't have at least a different dynamic between your levels of handsomeness. Like there should be one good looking guy, like one ugly guy, like Greg and I, and it's not. It's two good looking guys, and that's wild, man. That's like I can't even believe it's two smart, good looking guys. And so I don't know who wants to, like, you know, obviously you guys busted it open on LinkedIn, which I've kind of found a little annoying. I was like, man, I really wish we could have got the scoop. But I know you guys want to be a platform. So, so what's new, man? What's new in TourScale? You guys had some like big developments, and I mean, cat's out of the bag, but you know, can you guys walk us through a little bit of this new acquisition and this new piece of your business?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean,
we repeat each other too and talk over each other and sound the same. You'll find that out real quially on here.
Yeah, super white, super like two white guys.
That's actually my hat that he's wearing. No, I'm just kidding.
You guys are in the same room. It's like you guys are
right here.
Yeah. No. You guys got similar doors.
Yeah, I even have this same color for my underwear. So this is like
angle.
This has always been kind of our plan, right? Like we had this idea that the tour operator world, there's a ton of opportunity, but it's super fragmented. It's owned locally by local operators, and there's a lot of efficiency that can be built by having like true back office support for these guys, right? And so there's only been a few people like dipping their toes into franchising. Because I'll be honest, most people say this, like franchising kind of has a bad reputation. Like people think of McDonald's and Subway, everything's going to be the same. The franchisor is going to control me, you know, and we always had that same bias until we realized, like, look, we can build a franchise to be whatever we want it to be, but we know there's an opportunity in tours and experiences. And so we started doing it. But frankly, Cruisin Tikis started as a franchise even before us by a few years. And there's a few other people out there, like, you know, about like Justin Buzzy doing it with kayaking, Pedal Pub, who's a competitor in the party bike space. We identified Cruisin Tikis as a brand and product we really admired, like pretty much immediately. And so we always kind of thought like, man, it would be cool to someday, you know, acquire them if they were ever open to it, you know? So we had it like flagged, and honestly, like starting a couple years ago, you know, I started pursuing them. You know, Andrew and I decided that they would be a great target business acquisition for us. Because we like the brand so much and we saw the traction that we're getting. We think the boats are amazing. And so we started pursuing them. And it really wasn't until, you know, last year that things started coming together to make this happen. Of course, there's an NDA and everything like that and a lot of negotiations, but I can say it went really smoothly. We had a great relationship with the family. I don't know if all the listeners know this, but tragically, the founder of Cruisin Tikis, Greg Darby, who is this legend of a person, right? Like this larger than life Harley, Harley riding guy with a giant beard, 6'6", like, the back of his truck. Like if you read the stickers, you're like, I don't want to run into this guy's car.
Yeah, Trump 2024, stuff like that, I bet.
Not that bad, but almost, right? Sorry, Kevin. But you know what I mean? Like he's this large, and sadly he passed away 2 years ago. So really this franchise system was in transition, with the loss of their founder. And so we really wanted to step in to take the brand to the next level. That was kind of our pitch to the family is we're a good fit for this. We have the support systems to support these guys. We see so much potential in the existing locations and for future growth that we just made it a priority to pursue them, and super grateful, very excited. We made it happen.
Yeah.
So we're hard to say. I hate to use more white boy words, but we're very pumped.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped for you.
Maybe even stoked, Kevin.
Yeah, I say those words too. I mean, it's actually written into our call script. In our call script, I have stoked, and in my review scripts, I actually have stoked and awesome, and everybody does it. Yeah, awesome. It's like the Chick-fil-A thing.
Yeah.
But no, so I got a couple questions. I'm sure Greg does too. So something I'm interested about is that, so you guys were in the tiki space already. So now what does that look like insofar as, the TourScale, tiki experience versus, are they together now? Are you just doing Cruisin Tikis? Like, is there an option? What does that look like?
Is that you're nodding at me?
Yeah.
Right now we're maintaining two separate brands. I think the important thing for us is to lead with maintain the aesthetics of each. So the great thing about Cruisin Tikis, everyone's seen these octagonal boats. They don't look like a boat. They look like a floating bar. Kind of their lack of apparent seaworthiness, in a sense, is like what makes them appealing, at least as it appear, they
100%.
appear unseaworthy. They are very seaworthy. So we want to preserve that and preserve that brand. In the meantime, we also have a handful of units that we've done Tiki Pub with, and so we'll preserve that as well. Long term, it'll be up to the franchisees to kind of decide, I think, what they think about, merging the brands possibly or something like that. At this point, we have no plans to do that. We think both brands have a lot of value in their own, and they're a little bit of a different offering in a sense.
Yeah. So if I could throw my 2 cents at you guys, and it's like something I even wanted to say to your franchisees, maybe not the TourScale ones, but I always, when I looked at both products, I was like, oof, that is hard to fucking compete. You know what I mean? Just from a marketing sense, from a on the water sense. I've had my boats out there, and one of your franchisees here in Destin, Cruisin Tikis Destin, they got 10 boats. They're all lined up together. It really encapsulates like the entire Cruisin Tikis experience. Now, I can't speak to what their franchise model looked like, what their best practices were, but I was super excited, truthfully, for you guys, because I know how smart Kai is. I know how much respect I have for him, and just my personal dealings with him. He's always on the other end of the call if I have a question. Like, obviously, he's got a lot more years in the game. He's a lot more educated when it comes to the corporate side of business. So in the past, I've always been able to reach out to them. So I'm so stoked that now that back end experience, you guys have that, because nothing against the TourScale tiki pubs or any of Cruisin Tiki's competitors, but that whole octagonal boat, I just felt like, insofar as like just not comparing apples to apples and just looking at them both, like that really encapsulates, I think, the idea of what you guys are talking about with having this experiential nature. And I'm really excited for both brands, because I think you guys are really going to be able to take it to the next level, not just for current franchisees, but the next people that come in are really going to be able to benefit from that brand. So really hats off to you guys. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Well, appreciate the compliment, and we do too. I think you nailed it. The Cruisin Tikis vessels, we kind of talk about how do we create this sort of like Disney World experience when you come on a boat, so that when you're in the boat, it really feels like something that you would feel at like a grade A theme park or something like that. And I think kind of the key to them is they didn't design it to be a boat at the beginning. And so the origin story here is Greg Darby, the founder. his wife asked him to build a tiki hut in his backyard in Fort Lauderdale. You know how Fort Lauderdale is, a lot of canals, not a lot of yard space. So he built it on the dock back there, originally just as a tiki hut. Eventually, some neighbors liked it. They said, build us one. And one day he threw a motor on it and started, cruising away. And so it was never really meant to be a boat. And I think that's why it's got that unique look. If you were just trying to design a boat, you would never start with that form factor. And I think that's what makes it compelling.
So do you guys plan on any future hull upgrades or, any kind of changes insofar as on the manufacturing side?
Yeah. So we want to maintain, the important part here is the aesthetic, right? And this is partially
100%.
what makes our brands different is even our Tiki Pub's offerings. These are boats, right? This is supposed to be a boat experience. You can see the holes. They're fast, maneuverable. It's a boat tour. The Cruisin Tikis experience isn't really a boat tour. It's a bar experience that you happen to be floating on, right? It's a floating bar. Now, even that said, we don't think the barrels in the long run are the way they go as the holes, right?
No.
The cool part about it, and like credit to all the franchisees out there and the way the business model works, is that they're really inexpensive. So it meant a lot of entrepreneurs were able to get in this business at a lower price, and I celebrate that. But in the long run, they're just not good at you can't move very fast because you're plowing in the water. So it's not fuel efficient. They're actually, like, safety wise, do really well. Like they're very stable, but not very maneuverable, and you can't go very fast. And that can be limiting for a lot of the franchisees because it's like you can't go to where you want to go. I want to hit these sandbars. I got to cross the bay. You can only kind of tool around your local area. So we want to upgrade it with fiberglass. But we don't want that to be obvious from the outside looking in, right? We still want this floating bar look. So we'll probably have a facade that kind of covers the holes so that it still looks the same, but on its base, it's actually more performant and more durable and more maneuverable. So you can put bigger motors on there, have them get to further places and stuff like that. So we're working on designing that now, which is a fun process.
I got some questions. We're talking about design. I have seen in Destin a couple different octagonal like tiki boats. Is there a patent on the Cruisin Tiki boat?
Yeah, so you're probably seeing Trident Pontoons version. They have no,
there's another one.
No, there's two.
Oh, Trident is the manufacturer, but not the company that they're branded under.
Right. Trident. So Trident is building octagonal COI vessels. Our former business partner down there at Trident, is the short answer to that is no. There's an application for a 3D trademark, essentially, right? So think about the Coke bottle, right? It's not a patent; it's a trademark. They're like, we're the only ones allowed to have this Coke bottle in this distinctive shape because people have strongly associated it with our brand.
Mm-hmm.
So what Cruisin Tiki's attorneys and what we're considering continuing to do is continue pursuing that argument that the octagonal tiki is intricately connected with this brand. And so that's the only intellectual property angle you can really get. There's no like patent, even design wise, on sort of like an octagonal palapa style hut.
Mm-hmm.
But you could get a 3D trademark. And there are applications out there currently for this business that have not been granted. Now, there are some patents on the technology in terms of, the way the posts are attached and et cetera, like that do exist. But if you're asking me like today, could I go put that guy out of business? The answer is no.
As with your history, obviously you want to have that, competitive advantage, but just given is that like a dog, like the first guy to design a pontoon is out there like, no, Bennington, you can't have a pontoon. It's like,
I'll say it's not my
two
style.
logs.
Yeah, it's not my style.
Do you think that's legs, or do you find like something? You know what I mean? Do you feel like that's?
I think if that's the game that you've got to fight, you've probably already lost. I mean, we believe we can compete in any of these markets, and so we're not really worried about that. I love you guys, man. You guys answer everything right. Like Dude, I am the most bearish person when it comes to water sports. I'm like, stupid idea. Yep. No.
Stop doing that. That's dumb. But I mean, I'm genuinely excited about this because I've always, I've looked at Cruisin Tikis. I've never been like, oh, that's dumb. You know what I mean? I think that's stupid. I wouldn't get involved in that. I've always thought this idea of like, you can't have an octagonal boat. I'm like, that's kind of dumb. And I just love that answer, man, because I firmly agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this is America. I want to whoop your ass in the marketplace and then get a beer with you and smile later on. To me, that's how we do business here in the US of A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beat them
because it's great.
Win the customers
again. It's great again.
I would say I wouldn't say like today. Is it considered great? Like after the last few months?
You know how they have what they call it, Trump derangement syndrome. I'm currently.
Are you claiming you have it?
I'm claiming Trump regret syndrome. I'm going to trademark that one after the market the last 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm suing Trump. Why are we doing this to me?
We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not to sidetrack the show, but I mean, we're probably due for a correction, and it's only been like a 15-year bull market with, 60 days of contraction during COVID. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to pin that on Trump, but I'm
definitely I got generous of you not.
I want Biden back.
It's not like he's done anything that could possibly trigger the negative economic sentiment.
All right.
I mean, just every news cycle is like, we're doing tariffs. No, we're not. I'm like, why are you doing this? Just either do it or not.
I'm just messing around. For the listeners out there, I'm not taking a political position on this. I like to tease Kevin because
I think regardless about what's going on economically, I think watersports is still in a strong position in terms of the price and the value of the experience compared to a lot of other things. So if you're not going to Disney World anymore because you don't want to spend $1,000 a day, there's still a lot of cool things you can do on the water that are still a lot of fun, and that budget's going to be palatable for a lot of people regardless of what's going on.
You got the wrong two guys. We will be both of us at Disney World versus watersports. But then again, if I worked at Disney World, I probably wouldn't go to Disney World for a vacation. So So I mean, so like what are you guys most excited about? I know that this is a generic question, but I mean, what are you guys most excited about in this whole endeavor? And I'd pose that to each of you, like moving forward. What are you most pumped about, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of short term, long term. Short term, with the acquisition, I think that's what you're asking about. Maybe you're asking more broadly. The Cruisin Tikis franchisees that we've sort of inherited have this like amazing energy and passion for the business. A lot of these folks were kind of like the initial adopters. It was sort of a new thing. Many of them are first-time franchisees, kind of water sports natives. And so their energy is just contagious. We just had our conference. Greg was there. I mean, Greg, you saw it. It's just like real passion for the brand. So I'm really excited about that. I think long-term, like for us, this is sort of like getting critical mass to TourScale to go and do a bunch of other things we want to do. We want to acquire other brands. We are developing our kind of professional franchise recruitment team to go and sell these things nationwide and hopefully here pretty soon internationally. Allows us to bring other levels of support around marketing and all kinds of stuff. And so we're just excited about all that.
Recruitment team?
You'd probably call it sales, but it's a franchise growth.
We don't like to use
team.
the F word, Kevin.
They don't use this.
God,
if you call a salesman, they go, whoa.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. We go like, man, they have taken.
Hey, the franchises they're awarded. Important.
Dial it back.
We award them.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like this is where, because I hear you guys talk and I'm like, I hear it. You know what I mean? I hear the corporate. I hear like, we want experiential and all this shit. And depending on Kai's next answer, I'm going to see. So before I interject, Kai, what are you most excited about?
All right. What am I most excited about? I'll be specific. I love what drives me, what gets me up in the morning, right? Since day one is I really like playing the support role. I enjoyed building our businesses. Like I grinded it out for years and struggled to pay the bills and all that fun stuff and fixed bikes and fixed boats and got my hands dirty. I built a manufacturing facility and lived in it basically for 2 years. But once we transitioned to franchising, it was kind of like I get to get paid now to do what I love, which is really I like to consult. I like to assist, right?
Yeah.
I am really excited that we have this huge new group of franchisees with tons of potential who are just who want leadership and they want direction. And I'm excited to dive in and see it make an impact. Like just that visceral ability to say, give someone some new tools and give them some direction and watch their sales respond would be really fulfilling. So like just immediately what I'm facing right now, that prospect of being able to get in there and already starting that process now, being able to add value for these locations, like this is what gets me up in the morning. It's really exciting to me because I got to meet all these guys for the first time and then now just like dive into their businesses. So we're not getting a lot of sleep right now. It's a ton of work, but it's also just a really exciting time with a brand new group of people and getting our whole group together and getting them to bond and kind of get all in the same team. It's kind of fun, right? Like, because usually small business ownership is like, you're like alone, you know, I mean, you're like doing your thing and a lot of people like that, but it's fun that this is like a team sport with a franchise, right? Like we're all on the same team together. You have other resources and people you can turn to. And so that team building aspect, that getting in there and making an impact aspect, that's what I'm really excited about.
You know, it's crazy. And I know I kind of said it earlier, but it was like, that was kind of like a part of what I wanted to tell your franchisees was just like, and it is, you know, it's not ironic. I expected something like that to be your answer because you are really so helpful. And that's what I really wanted to kind of tell them. Like any of you guys that are like concerned about like new ownership, like, man, Kai is fucking great, man. You know what I mean? Just genuinely a good person. Don't let his like whole fucking dry demeanor, like, you know what I mean? Like he genuinely cares, which is, I think is, it's fucking awesome, man. And I think like with both of you guys, because Andrew, you know, without knowing you as well as I know Kai, you come across the same way. And but I hated both your answers, and I want to touch back on the sales portion of it, because it's like neither one of you just said like money. You know what I mean? We're most excited about making more money, and then that ties also into like, you know. Like if I just may give a piece of advice on the sales side for both of you guys, whoever you guys hire, you know, cut the arrival shit, like cut the corporate side of it and just be like, dude, we're going to help make you more money. And it's going to be great. You know what I mean? Not like the do like little weird corporate music in the background, like at TourScale, where's it? Like this is fucking cut to me in 5 seconds. Like, hey, welcome to TourScale. We make you more money. Yes, I'm a sales guy. It's completely fucking fine. We hope you're sales guys too, because at the end of the day, it actually costs a lot of money to run boats. Cut to fucking close. They're signing the NDA. They're becoming franchisees. You know, there's dreams of money raining down on them. It's great. Because there's one thing about this business that sucks, and it's when you don't make money. It's fucking challenging. So, and without hogging all the air, I do have one last follow-up. And Kai, I know we've kind of talked to you. You and I have kind of talked about this. Andrew coming in now as everything's growing. I mean, how many times in this journey from like small business to manufacturing, all this stuff have you guys done? How many times where you're just like, this isn't going to fucking work. What am I doing?
You want me to count it?
A lot. A lot.
I mean, I feel like that's daily what I say in the shower.
Yeah.
He's talking about work. Yeah. You know, a lot of time, I mean, we talked about this at the conference a little bit. Kevin is like, kind of relates to other comment, but Kai and I have this like soft spot for entrepreneurs because we have the battle scars of starting multiple companies. And I think anybody who tells you that, you know, they launched a company and they were just sailed off into the sunset and they watched their profit go up, like it's baloney, right? And we've been there before and like not sure how we're going to make payroll kind of stuff, you know? And it sucks. I'm reading this book of this guy who's just in this critical accident. He was in this critical accident, almost died. And separately later in his life, he went bankrupt because his business kind of went upside down during the Great Recession. And he says in the book that was harder than the physical accident, that staring at bankruptcy, having a family, personally failing without people feeling bad for you and there to support you is tough. And we've kind of looked at the brink of that before. And I think, you know, for us, it's like anyone who's been a prior business owner, if they're part of TourScale, we don't want them to ever have to go through that sort of experience alone. And with TourScale, hopefully never even be there, right? But there's like this common kinship, I think, with entrepreneurs, because most of them have been there before, and I think it's just something that motivates us.
I think we have a problem in society of normalizing failure. Like, nobody wants to fail, and they will lose their house, they will lose their family, they'll do everything not to go, not to lose their business or lose their idea or dream or whatever. And, I mean, there's times where I've kind of like cut the cord on some ideas that I had, and I just got way too deep until I made that decision. So I can understand that predicament of like having to go so far. And then like, I honestly, I agree with you, Andrew, and the guy in your book. It'd be harder for me to recover from a serious accident than it would be for me to be in that situation where, like you said, you can't make payroll, things are really shitty, and you want to do anything because like you're so concerned about your reputation and what people will think and how you can actually make money in the future. Like if you go bankrupt or you have a failed startup, it's going to be even harder to do it the next time around because banks are going to look at that, people who have invested in you, your reputation in the industry. So, in the early years of Trip Shock, we were in, that same boat. And part of me was like, maybe I should just start over and do something else. But yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. I have I got a couple of things to say. One, we are not corporate, Kevin. Just because we use words you don't understand doesn't mean we're like Walmart.
And tall.
I've been blamed, and I continue to get blamed.
Look,
but Kai's taking the fall. Yeah,
6'2", you know what I mean? Does great.
Here's the reality: we're not corporate at all. Like in terms of like what corporations really represent, which is like a high level of structure. People associate that with like high levels of professionalism and sort of polish and structure. Like really, and those things have their place for large organizations. We're a very small company. Just Andrew and I try to take an approach, right, that's scalable, right? We're trying to build today the systems and the way of dealing with people and the way of communicating that'll work 2-3 years ago when we're bigger. So some of it's like, you could think about it as like kind of acting like you're bigger beforehand, but really it's about structuring the way your organization behaves to take on that larger scale ahead of time. So I'm taking an issue with this.
Just call your sales team a fucking sales team, man. That's my only complaint, dude. I don't care. Wear a suit and tie, dude. I don't give a shit what you do. Be super corporate. These guys need that. I don't disagree. But come on, man. Recruitment. Jesus Christ, dude. Am I joining the Nazis or am I?
It is a little different than sales. So with franchising, is you're vetting them just as much as they're vetting us, right? So I mean, I think the reason why the language changed there between sales and franchising and recruitment, sales, the approach there is you're trying to get sales. Like if they're willing to buy, you'll do it. And you don't want to bias your team towards thinking that way. You're saying recruiting them to be a part of the team. So
yeah, I agree with Kai, Kevin. I wouldn't call it sales.
And to apply, frankly. I mean, the franchise get awarded, right? We're looking for the best people to be part of our network. But I think
what you guys are doing right now is sales. So kudos to you.
It is sales. I know. I like the recruitment for franchising for like selling software like WaveRes. I'll call it sales all day long because we're not like anyone really can use the software. So I choose this hill to die on because sometimes sales it's a 4-letter dirty word. And I frankly, it's just one of those things that like, to me, it's super annoying. Like I get it. And I agree, but I don't like that. I in some circles, especially over there and with these tours and these passion businesses and, that it's like, sales is like, sort of like, well, I don't want to be selly. Okay. And I hear what you're saying on the recruitment side. But it's just my initial reflex to be like, you know what I mean? Stop with the fucking rewording of the word sales. You're going to sell them, man. Let's sell them. Because to this point, it's like, and that's why I kind of followed up with that other question about like, how many painful nights are there? And you know what I mean? I would fucking go out there and beat the streets, shovel shit in them, whatever I had to do to keep the lights on, because nothing's cutesy and fun and like we care. Like when your bank account is going backwards, and I mean, how many lives get destroyed over failed businesses? And at the end of the day, it's like if you can pick up the phone
and make a call and hammer out some dollars. It could be the difference between not you turning your lights off, but your employees turning off theirs, because at the end of the day, you know, those are your franchisees, their people, their families. I mean, that 100% the most important part of all of this. And I would be out there in a gorilla suit with a fucking sign dancing on the side of the road trying to get people in to come rent a boat if I felt that's what it would take. So, you know, that's why I get a little in my feels about, you know, when the corporate, and I'm not saying you guys are corporate, just like sometimes in that world, it's just, you know, like, sales is bad.
Ego can prevent a lot of people from becoming successful. And I think, you know, in the corporate world, what you see is people are more concerned about looking good than being good. And they spend all their time doing that. And I think everyone should be sensitive and, you know, skeptical about that. It's, you know, ultimately, if that's what you're spending your time doing, you're compensating for not being good. So.
No, I like I said, I'm super excited for you guys. I mean, I've talked to Kai. I feel like Kai's a terrible salesman, you know, so I don't feel like you guys are going after anybody's throat at all. And I don't think anybody's got a thing to worry about. I feel like your current franchisees should, you know, when they get to know you guys and you guys become home for them, I think they're going to be so excited that they have, you know, an asset like the TourScale team in their corner. So I truly am. I'm not just excited for you guys. I'm excited for all the families and the franchisees and the future recruitment, whatever. What, you know, they get a nice uniform. It sounds like they get like a medal, like the Marine Corps. It's going to be awesome. No,
yeah, but Kevin, I want to tell you about like sales for a second. I know you're telling me I'm a terrible salesperson, and to some degree, yes, I'm not an outbound guy. I don't push heavy. I sell very similar to Kai, with relationship sales people. You know, we build a relationship first. We sell our value propositions. Sometimes it's a longer window, but like I hired a sales guy, Zach, and we're going to bring him on the show one time. And Zach is phenomenal. He's more of the style that you talk about. He's outbound. He's, you know, more of a bull in a china shop. And he's smart. We're the perfect combination when we go into a meeting with a prospect, and I hit him with kind of that soft touch, the relationship, sell him on the knowledge, and then Zach kind of closes. And it's really perfect for us, because if we sense that this is not going the right way, then we continue the relationship, and then, you know, Zach can do his thing. But, you know, I think that's like a really good sales approach in this industry, because the lead times are long, no matter if it's franchise or even reservation software. And you know, from Take My Boat Test, like how many of your clients are coming from all the relationships you've built. And it's just, you know, you do think all they're doing is changing a link on their website. How hard would it be? But you have to kind of come at them at a different angle, especially in water sports.
Nope, I beat the shit out of them. I'm like,
I know.
No matter what relationship we have, I'm like, hey man, we'll have a great hour and a half conversation. And then I'm like, ask for the close, no matter what, every time. Like I did the same thing on a conversation with an operator who's like upside down, like falling apart, getting ready to get rid of his business. And in that hour and a half, I'm just like, here's $100,000 worth of value. If you're not doing these things, you should be doing them. And that's quite literally bottom line. And if you do sell in the next year, that's $100,000 more that you can make the argument that instead of a 0.5x, that maybe there's at least a 1x. So in addition to the additional revenue that you make on the sale of the thing, you have something with some meat on the bone. Now, how do we get you guys set up for Take My Boat Test? You know what I mean? I'm not like, hey, thanks, see you later when you feel like it. I'm like, let's sign you up right now. I just made you $100,000, dude.
I mean, there's quick deals. I mean, I'm sure people have reached out to Kai and like immediately signed up, you know, in a short window. But
I'm not claiming to be a sales guy either. You know, I've just played that role because we're a small organization. And my style, probably like yours, Greg, is relationship and trust first, right? That's just how I do things.
Kai, you made a great point when we were talking previously that in franchising, it's a 10-year relationship. So it's like, even if Kai's the most selfish person in the world, and when he's selling, awarding, recruiting, whatever, you know, his incentive we'll go there next. His incentive is to do business, and our incentive is to do business with people that we want to be working with for a long time. Because the only worst thing, you know, than not getting the deal would be to have a deal done with somebody that now you're in a miserable relationship with. You just asked them to make a 6-figure investment, and now you got 10 years to hang out with them. And if they're not happy, I mean,
Yeah.
That's not good.
No,
Yeah, I would
I
much
have
rather not
no
go to
idea of
scale.
your world, and I just take the opposite end because I don't want, you know, I
Yeah,
want the
Kevin-
show to
Kevin
be
likes to
fucking
take the-
entertaining for our people. You know what I mean? We got to provide some value on our side too. It's got to be entertaining. If we're all just like, we're
Yeah.
recruiting, you know, our people will be like, "Yeah, fuck out of here." Where's Kevin being an asshole this episode? So no,
Look,
I agree. I couldn't imagine, like, you know, what are you gonna do? Like hard sell like in the same market, like 5 different locations? Like, come on, man, sign on the dotted line. Like, well, there's 3 of us all here within 4 dock slips of each other. That's how I would do it. Get the money and run. Yeah. I don't know, Greg.
Don't buy Kevin's franchise.
Don't buy my franchise. Yeah. No. I got to tell you, Greg, though, just on the personal side here, and I do love getting off on a tangent, but I know you love to make friends, man, but I just hope you got a hard and fast rule that when Zach gets them, that you shut the fuck up and just be like, all right, guys, bye. Talk to you later. Don't keep going, man, because you'll talk yourself right out of one there if you don't watch it.
No, trust me, he's already told me that more than once.
I wanted to do it today. We had a great operator. We closed him. He didn't even ask about commission. And I wanted to be like, oh, and by the way, here's your commission. He just loved us and he was ready to go. And we closed him and I was like, see you later. Bye. You know what I mean? We're going to give you the same great commission we give everybody. But, you know, if you're not asking, I'm not getting into it. We'll lock you up and walk away. At any rate, yeah, I didn't want to turn this into sales. I didn't. I truly am. I can't say it enough. I really am. I was when I found out, Kai, when he told me about you guys were acquiring Cruisin Tikis, I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. You know what I mean? I really get excited about it. So what are your plans for like the next 10 years? Like what is you say you plan on other acquisitions. I mean, where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 to 10?
Guys giving me the look.
10 years.
Look, I mean, I think we're really thinking about 3 years out to set us up for longer term stuff. But certainly it's you know, continuing to show that we can buy and integrate additional brands. And like right now, TourScale is largely water sports based, but TourScale can be anything tours and activities based. And that's kind of the idea long term, is to build out, you know, this platform that anyone can use and participate in and provides value. So we're starting with where we're at, and we've got to prove ourselves there first. And then, you know, we'll go from there.
In the shorter term, I mean, something we are excited about is international, specifically for Cruisin Tikis. You know, it was something we looked at for Trolley Pub and for Paddle Pub. You know, for the larger boats, it's not really workable because every jurisdiction has these different like certification requirements, like our Coast Guard. And so we got a lot of inquiries in Mexico, Canada, Australia, et cetera, but we can never sell boats there. And then for the party bikes, kind of a similar issue with the regulatory issues with these things operating didn't really make international feasible for us. But the 6-passenger boat is actually very exportable. We wanted to be able to design them to fit in container ships. And so we are pretty excited about looking at doing this in other countries, you know, in the next couple of years. It's something that'd be really cool I would say that's one of our goals.
It'd be cool if you guys sold scales, like scales.
Yeah.
You guys said you could sell anything. I'm like, man, you guys should sell actual scales, you know, like triple beams.
Okay.
Digital,
Quite the pivot.
Actually, server.
Scales adjusters.
They have to weigh themselves before they get on a tour.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Thanks for that. That was a great idea.
Well, listen. I'd have you close at the end. You'd be ordering 100 of them. You'd be able to get gross scales from me by the end of this
that's
conversation.
why I call it Awkward Watersports. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. They can't all be. They can't all be bangers. Yeah. So let me ask you about that. When you guys say like, oh, you know, we want to get into this other stuff. I mean, would that be like advisable? You think? Because I mean, like a trolley bike and a tiki boat. I mean, do you see anywhere it's like, well, this section of the company is like, you know, without being like, oh, you know, it's like I have jet skis and boats and kayaks, and sometimes I'm like, oh, jet skis, I should just have boats. I mean,
yeah, I think. I mean, We think it's a good idea, which is why we just said it, I guess, is the most straightforward answer. But I get what you're saying. Like, look, like kind of the cool thing for us is like the actual operations aren't really that different based on concept. The support is largely the same. And so I think you're right. Like, we don't want to like be distracted and not focused on some core things to where all of a sudden we're not providing good value for our franchisees. That would be dumb. But can we get into other spaces where like the backbone is still the same? Right. You're still bringing in people like you guys to consult. We're still working with OTAs. We're still doing similar types of marketing. Like when we're talking about the designing the experience of the actual person participating, like all that is still similar. So I think as long as you're within that realm, this platform holds.
The nice thing too, yeah, and look, I could give you some examples. Like there's a group called Unleash Brands, right? They own Urban Air, Sylvan Learning, Little Gym, right? They're building a franchise on similar concepts that are based on families and children, where there's like a similar, like Andrew said, backbone of support. For us, that's our vision for this, for TourScale. That's why we named it so broadly. I think for our franchisees, it's a good thing too. You know, our incentives are pretty aligned. The larger that TourScale gets, the more sophisticated and better support we can offer. That's the bottom line. You know, our first couple of years, it was kind of like Kai calls you on the phone, flies out and helps out if something's going on, right? Now we're to the stage where we have dedicated team members helping support people. You know, as we get larger, we're going to get much better at this stuff and be able to provide better tools for the franchisees. And obviously for Andrew and I, this is our business plan. You mentioned money earlier. You said, are you excited about making more money? The reality is, are we making more money right now? Not sure, right? We're definitely larger. Franchising is kind of the opposite of a get-rich-quick scheme. It's more of a get-poor-slow scheme in a way. That's a joke, in case you're wondering. but it's a long game, right? You have to build a lot of value, and we're in the long game, right? And so you have to have this sort of like place you're going to get where you get to a scale where you can provide the level of support you want. And we think the path to get there is partially through acquiring other franchise systems and groups so that we can get to that scale where we can achieve what our vision of what this support looks like is.
What do you?
I just want to
make
follow
money
up
along the way eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So I guess I should have like reframed that. And what I guess what I was meaning to say is that like seemingly, like, do you find congruency for your franchisees with these products? So do you guys have like people that are like, yeah, I want a tour bike?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, if that came across as like, do pedal pubs suck? You guys moving to boats and pedal pubs? That wasn't like my frame,
sure.
but
yeah. But we want them to be congruent, right? They need to be like, we should be the one-stop shop for the tour and activity entrepreneur. Like you can open up in your market, you can have bikes, you can have boats, you should be able to build a business around the tour industry without turning anywhere else and scale it within your existing market without the need to open up in all these other locations.
There you go. That's what I was fishing for. There we go.
Okay. Well, you got it. You just got it. I delivered it.
Bad lure. Sorry, Andrew. I framed that in a weird way. God, I'm just wrong all the time with you guys. It's recruitment, not sales. It's like bikes and boats. I'm like, God, man. I'm like, always feel so bad about myself after standing next to you guys. Are so tall.
Do you guys think that there's any other concepts that are underserved right now in the industry that could benefit by franchise, like a franchise model?
God, I'm trying to figure out if you're trying to get me to answer if you want.
Yeah, do we want to give away any ideas here?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think the short answer is yes.
For sure.
That's probably the full answer.
Hot tub.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like
boats?
we're continuing to build. We're continuing to build like our list of like targets, right? Of brands we could acquire to do that. We have other ideas. You know, largely like most of our stuff has been like asset based, which is really great for the entrepreneur because you're not spending all this money in a brick and mortar build out that takes forever. And if your business doesn't work, you have this. But there are stuff, you know, in brick and mortar too that are still tours and activities. So there's a ton of stuff out there. And I think, you know, look, most of them that are franchises haven't gotten. It takes a while to get to the size where it's really, you know, economically viable to keep running. TourScale's there, and so it just gives us sort of an advantage in the space to be able to look at purchasing some of these other, you know.
So now I just want to like give you like a like if I was interested in buying a franchise.
There's an idea.
Franchise.
I like that.
Yeah.
Kaapro, Frenchies.
Man, I'm
Scale,
fucking
you're
this
gonna
one
scale,
up,
you're gonna
man. I was like, I'm
scale.
just, you know, like when you get that,
Yeah.
you get like a hot girl and you just start screwing it all up. You know, you're like, oh yeah, your name's Kevin, not mine. I feel like I'm a fanboy.
I don't know that feeling, Kevin.
No,
I'm
so
flattered.
as a friend of Kai, take it easy, Andrew. I'm a yeah. So no. So my question is like, do you guys ever get pushback, and what's your sort of answer? And I think I might know it as I'm saying it, but so you said it's like this octagonal, like beer type or bar type experience. Like, do you guys have a plan or an answer if like you're really trying to go after like more of like a family market, or like what's that script look like? You know, when people are like, you know, is this family friendly? It being like a bar aesthetically.
Is it family friendly? Our concept's family friendly. Generally, it depends on the concept, right? Trolley Pub is not that family friendly. The party
Gotcha.
bike, they tend to be young professionals, middle age. It is a party vehicle, right? Like it's to have good, clean adult fun, right? Listening to music, bar hopping, etc.
Cool.
No, look, we do Christmas tours and some other stuff like that, but it's not the primary. Believe it or not, Cruisin Tikis is actually much broader than, like, let's say our paddle pub. They have a lot more of that family traffic, older folks. It's like got that kind of Jimmy Buffett vibe to it, where you don't got to get wild. You could also just vibe out and enjoy a sunset and sip on a cocktail, sort of thing.
And you can get them piecemeal,
and Tiki
or you
Pub
could
too.
rent out the whole boat, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and
up to 6 seats.
Yeah, Tiki Pub as well. Yeah, our brand that we have for the COI boats and for the six-pack boats is we think of that as a much broader brand, which is family friendly. It's actually in our brand guidelines that we don't want like the hard party imagery on the Tiki brands, although it's normal to have the imagery on the paddle pub and trolley pub, specifically because the family market is huge, right? It's much larger than the young professional market, and they have much more spending power. So if anything, we're probably leaning in on the Tiki side to that family, older folk demographics, because they're the ones that got the money right now. You know, young professionals are pretty strapped.
And how do you feel like, so like when I think of, and speaking to Cruisin Tikis specifically, when I do think of that brand, and because it's shaped like a bar, I mean, like, so what do you tell your franchisees, unless you're giving away like trade secrets, like, or what are your best practices on dispelling that idea that this is going to be a lot of drinking, and like this is like, no, this is family friendly, this is built for family boats because of all the reasons you said? Like, what do you guys tell your people on that?
Well, a bar is it's just a table, right? I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm just saying, like, literally, it's just the social shape where everyone's facing each other and you can set things on. The word pub or bar isn't in the Cruisin Tikis brand like it is for Tiki Pub, right? And so I think it's simple as that is the Palapa octagonal shape. It's kind of a more chill environment. Everyone's facing each other. There's a table for serving food and drinks. I would think that's kind of the answer to it. And look, your impression of Cruisin Tikis is probably highly shaped by the type of demographics coming to Destin. If I went and looked at, you know, which I assume there's like lots of bachelorette parties and stuff, probably plenty of families too.
Yeah.
You look at some of our Cruisin Tikis locations, like Crystal River and Homosassa Springs, right? They have a tour like literally where you go see monkeys. I don't know if you knew there were monkeys.
No, that's awesome.
But most of their demographics are older folks and families, almost exclusively. Our Tiki Pub franchisee in Fort Myers Beach, and it's called Tiki Pub. And I would say pub just means public house, right? It doesn't necessarily mean a bar. But you know, a majority of their demographics are family and older folks, and they've just done a fantastic job of building that there. So I like to say our brand is broad enough to where we're going to target the demographics based on your market. So if you're a big bachelorette party, birthday party, young professional market, then lean into that. And if you're like Crystal River, Fort Myers Beach, where there's a lot of families, then really lean into that. And your website's probably going to look a little different. The pictures on social media are going to look a little different because you're just targeting the demographics that are going to your market.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, so like you build out your website, and yeah, they're gonna see monkeys. I had no idea. Yeah,
there are monkeys in Homosassa, wild monkeys.
Do you guys know the story of the monkeys? I know the whole story.
Tell the story, Greg.
So back in the 30s, they filmed, I believe, Tarzan in Central Florida, and they just brought these monkeys in for the movie, and they just let them go, and they populated. and they're just very dangerous monkeys. They got like hepatitis B and all. My brother.
What are you doing with them, Greg?
Yeah,
I didn't think you were going that angle. I thought they're like, yeah, they beat and stab someone to death.
These are like
venereal diseases.
Diseased
Fill your
and
wallet,
dangerous
they'll give you a
monkeys. You
VD.
stay away from these
Yeah,
monkeys.
don't have sex with the monkeys, everybody.
Yeah,
if you're in-
exactly. Don't have sex. Don't get near the monkeys. They're diseased. But yeah.
Hey, we sell monkey tours, Greg. I feel like you're scaring our customers.
Yeah.
Well, you just got to stay away from them. You're in the water.
No, we're bringing the customers to them, man.
Yeah, I got like a lasso. I'm trying to like fucking catch one of those fucking things, man. You know what I mean? Get them to hop on your shoulder, nibble your ear off.
Well,
that's
there's probably a lot of animals that have rabies and shit, so it's not like every animal doesn't have diseases on it. So
Even
I
people.
really appreciate you saving me on this episode,
You're gonna learn.
Greg.
Hey,
Thank
I had to give my Kevin moment for the show. So there you
I
go.
thought I made it weird.
No. I'm just sharing what my brother told me. He lived there. He used to go kayaking and see the monkeys.
He's like, it's not me that's having sex with the monkeys, it's my brother. Yeah, so this is why we usually put a hard stop at around 35 to 45 minutes, because when you start running out of things to talk about, you make it weird. But if you guys do come to any, if we're there with these guys at Arrival, if you guys come to the port, you're going to get all of this and more. Like I said, I'm going to ask for the close at the end of the conversation, Greg, Kai, Andrew. Hope you guys are paying attention. I weave that in there. Guys, anybody that's listening that wants to get a paddle pub, a pedal pub, a Cruisin Tiki boat, buy a triple beam digital scale, how do they reach out to you guys? Like how do they get recruited by the TourScale army?
It's TourScale.com. TourScale.com. You can also find our scales there, like you said, but feel free to reach out. You always reach out to me or Andrew, just Kai at TourScale.com. And we'd love to talk to you and apparently get a really soft sell, according to Kevin. Nice, gentle sell.
Yeah, you'd be like, I don't even know if our scales work for you. I don't know what you're weighing on them.
I've told people many times, I don't know if this is right for you or not.
That's fair. I don't think that's a fair tool. I don't think that's an unfair tool. I mean, it's definitely a tool that works for sure. I got to find something to break balls on you guys about. As I entered the start of the show with you guys, are both so smart and handsome. It's hard, and better at debating. I feel like I got crushed on that whole recruiting thing. I'm not gonna take that to bed tonight when I'm dreaming about herpes monkeys or whatever's happening in Hermosa.
Hermosa.
What's Hermosa?
Or what's it called?
Like based in California or something. Hermosa.
Yeah, what's it called?
Homosassa.
Yeah, I've phonetically saw that as Hermosa every time.
Yeah,
Hermosa Spring. All right, guys, that is a wrap to quite possibly my favorite show of the year. What are the dates on the tour? Or on the fucking port, since we're pushing it?
The port is going to be October 20th and the 21st, 2025.
Yeah, and we're going to have a whole bunch of cool people there like Kai and Andrew here, as well as a bunch of other great operators. As Greg mentioned at the top of the show, it is going to be in Destin. We're going to be dropping pre-sale here very shortly, and we're super stoked about it. And as always, you guys keep it awkward.
Keep it awkward.